mean, I know that it's early. We're going to add some energy to things. So I do have some slides I'm going to present. I know it's a little bit, we're going to try and not make it death by PowerPoint. If you see something, you're free to interrupt me and raise your hand and say, I have a question about what you're showing me on the screen. So please do that. And okay, the director is telling me I need to talk into the microphone. Okay, all right. So Eva already introduced who I am. What I want to do is I want to take a minute just because I see some faces that I know. Hi, Brian. How are you? Welcome. That I know around the room. But I want the Socrata people to stand up for a minute. So we're a small group today, and so the benefit of a small group is that everybody gets to introduce themselves. So surprise, surprise, I did not tell people from Socrata that they would introduce themselves, but I want them to do that because the goal here is conversation, and I want you to know who's in the room, so when you have specific questions, you can go seek them out. We have some breaks, we have some interactive sessions. So I'm going to start with Stu. Stu, can you just speak loudly and just say who you are and what your role is at Socrata?
Sure, speaking loudly is usually not my problem. Stu Rabinowitz, I'm the director of our federal partner program based here in DC. Many of you have worked with over the course of the last bunch of months. Excited to have you here today. My role is really to help you envision Socrata into your solutions and to help you drive and succeed in business. So good to have you here today. Thank you.
Chris.
I'm Chris Metcalf. I'm our Director of Development Experience. I'm here to talk about some of the technical ways you can integrate your technology with Socrata.
Matt Poehler, I'm Account Manager on the healthcare team.
Tom Robbins, I'm with our Product Management Group.
Eva Skidmore, I just introduced myself, Director of the Global Partner Program.
My name is Christian Hugerheit. I'm a Data Solutions Architect on the federal team, so I support our sales team on the technical side.
Mark Silverberg, also DSA, focusing on the health and NGO space.
Hey, I'm Dan Miller. I'm the Federal Director, and I run the group here in DC.
Good morning, Charlotte Goldsberry, Director of Strategic Business Development out of San Francisco and Seattle.
Good morning, everyone. Aditi Agarwal. I'm on the Ecosystem and Strategic Alliances team.
Patrick Lamphere, Director of Security and Compliance.
Pratap Jadhav, also a DSA, supporting our Northeast area.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kathy Sue. I'm on the federal account team, and I'm based out here in Washington, D.C.
Okay, good. Thank you. Let's just give them a round of applause. Thank you. So it's important to know who the Socrata people are, and I'm always amazed because I joined, so Kevin Merritt is our CEO and founder, and in 2012 I joined the team, and there were 19 of us. When Chris was there, I think, Chris, there were 6, perhaps? Yeah, so it's really great to see that the team has grown, and there's a presence here in the DC area and also in the greater Northeast area. So please take advantage of the faces and names and go up and introduce yourselves and talk a bit about your businesses and the types of things that we can do together. So with that, I'm going to move ahead. It's a short agenda for today. I just want to introduce Socrata. We're going to play a brief video. We're going to talk a little bit about some new things that are happening around the company. It's really exciting. Tom Robbins is here from Seattle, and he's going to walk through. We have a product launch happening, and so this is very exciting. So we're going to talk a bit about that, and then just some examples of some solutions that we're doing with partners, and just kind of get the juices flowing in terms of like, how can I use this technology, and how can we together really influence data-driven government? And I'll get to what I mean by that in a minute. So let's watch a quick video.
Governments have this amazing opportunity to use their data as a platform to innovate.
If a government isn't participating in the open data movement, they really are behind the times in terms of serving the citizens in their city or county or state or even at a national level. Most of us now have become accustomed at using the web, using our computer to look things up. We want to interact with our government in this online 24/7 access mode, not go in and wait in line. And a lot of what people are looking for can be answered through open data put online by these governments.
So in the context of rethinking open data,
It's more than just being on the government website. It's getting that data into circulation.
The challenge is to go from a data set that's perhaps sitting on a catalog or a map that may not tell you a story that you care about, to be able to take that data and very quickly, with actually no effort on the user's part, to relate it to what you care about.
Transportation data, public safety data, spending data, environmental quality data. And if their data is not out there online in a machine-readable form, they're really not part of the greater ecosystem that relies on that data.
The big challenge for us is we have any data source can be consumed in a variety of ways. So how do we create the context that maps to that specific user and their specific needs in order to make that data useful to that user? And at the same time, how do we build these products and enable the ecosystem to build products that put this data in a context that not only citizens but employees in government, decision makers, researchers, the media can use this corpus of data to make big and small decisions in their daily lives.
Terrific. So, as you can see, it's kind of the message is data everywhere. And I think that you're here because you know that, and that's a big part of your businesses. And just to kind of continue the welcomes, here we've just put up some of our partners, and some of you are here today. And really the goal is to listen, discuss, and learn from one another, because it's early days. This whole idea of data-driven government, it's early days. And so a number of our customers right now are leading the charge. I mean, they are the innovators, but the momentum is picking up. We're not seeing it slow down. And so this is really the opportunity that we have together to work on a number of our customers' problems and solve for them, and also their pain points. So, my team works with a variety of different types of partners. Today, we're really going to be focused on technology and solution providers, but I just wanted everybody to have the full picture of who we work with, and just to kind of talk about, and I said purposely, like when Stu and I were talking about this, I said, Stu, I've been a partner, I've worked with partners for many years. I don't want to label anybody, because all of you, your businesses are changing. Actually, they have to change. In today's day of cloud-based, SaaS-based, mobile-driven, so many different types of devices, we all need to innovate. It's not what it used to be. It's not necessarily just packaged software, as we know. The cloud is really beginning to take root. And so we have to think about, as partners and as a team, how do we continue to add value for our customers? And that's kind of the message. So it's about innovation. So we work with solution providers, we work with technology partners, application developers, that's Chris's expertise. We also work with what we call data syndication partners. These are partners who really have the great solutions, and I think it was Eva who alluded to the fact that we want to get data into the hands of people and businesses where they use it. That doesn't necessarily mean that we provide all those solutions from a Socrata perspective. Our partners do. So we have a syndication model where partners like Zillow or Yelp or others are providing those solutions to get those to citizens when they need them and where they need them. And then also associations are really key. I think that we pride ourselves on, and I don't think you would necessarily be in the room unless you thought of yourselves as thought leaders. Together we are thought leaders. We're helping governments reimagine the business of doing government. And that's really important. They're asking us to show them how to do it. They don't necessarily have the answers. And to be honest, we're also figuring it out together. But because we are creating community and cohorts of governments, there's the opportunity for them to learn from one another, and for us as a partner in an ecosystem community to carry that message. That's really important. So, I don't want to leave anybody out, but we do have people here from Deloitte, Booz Allen Hamilton, SunGard, Grant Thornton, Amazon, SeeClickFix. We have association partnerships with the National League of Cities, the Data Transparency Coalition, just to name a few. So there are a lot of organizations that are involved in this movement, and it's really exciting. We're really excited about it, and we're just seeing a tremendous amount of growth and opportunity. So to pick up on that a little bit, really, our vision for the market is friction-free flow of data. I use those words purposely so, friction-free, because we know that sometimes data equals pain, and so we're trying to take away that pain. So friction-free flow of data from government database silos. I think we're all, who's familiar with government databases? Raise your hand if you worked with them. Right, they're fun, right? They're easy to work with. Not really. So flowing data from those silos to whomever needs it in the experience that makes it most useful to them. And we're talking about both internal use, so this is government across agency, working together, sharing information, as well as communication out to the public and the community. It's not either or, it's both, and there's different ways that government can use data to empower themselves to make better decisions. And that's what this friction-free flow of data is about. So with our partners, our goal is to get customers up and running quickly, fast. Okay, who equates, raise your hand if you equate government with fast. Nobody, right? That's changing though. They need to move more quickly to respond to their communities and also what's happening in the world. I actually just came from a summit with mayors around the country talking about resiliency. Who here is involved in the discussion around resiliency? So, okay, a couple of people. That is all about how do you react with the right solution quickly. That's really important. There is either a man-made or a natural disaster, and government needs to react quickly. And in order to do that, they need the data and information and the tools that you all provide so they can act quickly to respond. It's really important. We're all familiar as to what just happened in Ferguson and Baltimore, and every mayor at this summit that I was just at said to me, I want to prevent a Baltimore or a Ferguson in my community. How do I do that? And if that happens, how do we proactively react to that so that we're able to get our communities functioning again? This is what they care about, and it's really important. And by the way, it's also in partnership between the state and local levels and the federal government. Nobody's left out of this conversation. So that's super important. So our partners, and I'm not going to get into the speeds and feeds, that's not the goal here, but our partners can leverage our platform and framework for what we call intelligent data curation. Data in and of its own is not that useful. It's the meaning that we put around it, it's the functionality that we provide with it, and it's the intelligence that actually makes data useful and makes data a utility for governments to do the business of governing better. It's also about data discovery. We're working quite a bit in our platform so the data and information that is there is easily discoverable by both partners and governments alike. Wide availability of APIs. Whoever here is interested in discussing APIs, we have our expert Chris here, and he can answer any question. Chris, I'm putting you on the spot. Any and all questions about APIs, application development, and also we have data scientists as part of the Socrata family. It's really important to utilize machine learning. So as we're getting more and more data into the platform, our systems are getting more and more intelligent. And so Deep, who is our CTO, has put in a machine learning process as part of our overall infrastructure. We just launched it for data discovery. That's really exciting. And lastly, and I think this is where partners really shine, it's about insights. Data alone is just data. It's numbers, letters, what have you on a spreadsheet. It's all about the insights that you can glean from the data and then therefore take action. Make sense? Okay. Any questions so far on this? Is some of this resonating with you, or is this just kind of like, I have no idea what she's saying? It's resonating. Good, I'm glad. Okay. So I'm not going to steal Tom's thunder, but I did want to just say that, we have just launched basically our open data platform with Data Lens, which we will show you. Because I think sometimes when we talk about insights, our government customers can say, oh, that's great, but what do you mean? How do we create that? What's a benchmark? What are others who look like me doing? And so our Data Lens capability kind of jumpstarts that whole process and gives them some ideas of, well, maybe you want to look at your data like this, or in a geospatial perspective, or perhaps you want to glean some insights by looking at some charts or graphs. And so we help them do that with Data Lens, and Tom's going to show you that. Also, our financial transparency applications. We're really excited about our budget transparency application, our payroll application. Who here works with financial data in government? Okay, good, good. So we can have a conversation around that because that's so important. And with the Data Act, we all know that financial and budget data, there's a mandate, okay? So we can talk about how well that's supported. I'm not going to debate that right now, but there is a mandate to be open with budget data and financial data. So when we think about, solutions, what does this innovation translate to partners? It's the ability to solve a number of customer challenges in an extensible and secure platform. We have Patrick here, who after me is going to talk about security. We know how important that is, especially for the federal government. And so we've taken the necessary measures to put in the security that's required for those customers. So Patrick's going to talk a little bit about that and definitely can go deeper on that during breaks with you in the room. And then the other is ability to share and curate data. This is also really important. We all know whether it's government workers, employees, citizens, they're accessing data from a lot of different types of devices. It's not just about the desktop. What's really important is whether it be pad or mobile capability, that the designs that we're doing are responsive to how those citizens and or government workers are interacting with that data. We've put into our capability a responsive design capability so that they are able to access and consume that data on the devices by which they are using. How many people here are doing any sort of mobile application development or solutions for whether it be iPad or what have you? Okay, good. So we should talk a little bit more about that too, because that's changing. I remember, who remembers way back when mobile devices weren't even really allowed in government? So I have some nodding heads. It's crazy, right? And now you have leaders who are bringing in their iPads to really important meetings, and this is what they're saying, well, you know what, I want to consume the information this way because this is how I understand it. So we, as an ecosystem or a partner community, need to respond to that and make sure that the technology we put into place supports the way that they want to consume the information. Make sense? Okay, great. I'm going to give a few examples of what our customers are doing. And when Stu and I talked about this, I know that he and also Mark, who introduced himself earlier, they have an expertise in healthcare. Who here works in the healthcare market? Okay, super important. There is so much data in healthcare, and there is so much complexity with that data. And so from our perspective in working with partners, some of the examples of how we've put solutions into place is all the way here. You've got Health Data New York, and they're expanding their reach of public health data internally and externally to communicate important information both across government functions as well as out to the citizens. What's really interesting is in any market, whether we say healthcare, education, or public safety, it really isn't a siloed market. They're dependent and impacted by other types of data and information that may not be called healthcare data, right? And so it's really important that we help them break down the barriers, whether it be between agencies or departments, to share data so they can give a more holistic picture of the solutions that they're trying to get after. In Indiana, they're innovating with healthcare applications built on top of published data in the open data platform. So here, this application solves for constituents' needs to connect with healthcare providers and access pertinent information. Here you're seeing some metadata and some flyovers on a geospatial, basically on a map, that really helps connect citizens to the information that they want and to get at the pertinent data that they want. So through this interactive and visual experience, and visual is important, we can throw up an Excel spreadsheet and just have a list of locations and names and what have you, but that's not as interactive, it's not as intuitive, it's not as helpful. So the visualization piece is really important, and then built into it are some of the analytics and some of the insights about these healthcare providers. So that's really important. And then the other piece, and I think who here works on performance management type solutions for their customers? Okay, so a few people here work on performance. There is a mandate now that governments need to be more data-driven in their decision-making. This means that it's all about collaboration, improved performance, measurement, and accountability. I think that we all, as business people, we're accountable, right? I mean, when you set out to do what you want to do for the quarter or for the year, we measure it. Who measures themselves? Who has objectives and who has measurements for themselves? Okay. Whose businesses, I know we don't like to necessarily talk about this, but who gets performance reviews on yourself by your company? Everybody, come on, everybody gets performance reviews, right? So what do you base that on? You base it on data. You base it on your metrics of success and what you've agreed upon with your employer to say, I'm going to achieve this for the business, right? So what about government? They have to be beholden to metrics, right, and measurements of success that they promise to the communities or within government to other departments or to their agency. But really, from a citizen perspective, who pays taxes? You better all raise your hand. Tax day already passed. Who filed? No, I'm kidding. You don't have to tell me. But we all pay taxes, and we want to know, well, how are taxpayer dollars being used? You know, one thing that I love, Governor O'Malley, who is a very early partner of Socrata with his state stat and his performance management dashboard, for lack of a better word, although everybody here knows that I don't particularly like that word. I think it's very constraining. But Governor O'Malley has said you have to measure progress. You have to measure progress in real time, and there has to be accountability via transparency, right? That's super important. But our governments are told that, and then they raise their hands. How do I do that? I don't know how to do that. Well, with our technology, together, with our technology, our solutions, our advisement, right? Our advisement, governments are able to illuminate and track key indicators as they progress and change. You see that here with the Medicaid.gov site that we're shown, and since I'm not allowed to leave the microphone, this is very hard for me. I'm leaving it. Here, you see the indicators, and this is not a snapshot. This is a living, breathing interaction with the data. They change this as the data changes. So it's no longer, let's put together a report that takes months and months, and by the time you publish it, it's out of date. Well, that's not very useful. When I said before, governments need to react faster, more quickly, with less resources actually, well, how do they do that? We as a community can help them with the technology and the solutions that we provide. So I wanted to put this up, and what's really interesting is this is our I guess, Stu, our second annual partner summit. This is very exciting. It's our second annual. And so this hasn't really changed since last year. So if you were here last year, I'm sure you remember this. Just kidding. But our mission for partnership, and I'm going to read this, and I don't usually read slides, but by weaving together an ecosystem of innovative partners, love that word, innovative, and customers, Socrata is creating a vibrant market for data-driven government. Okay, let's make decisions not based on emotion. Let's make decisions based on the facts, right? So why? By partnering, we deliver value to our mutual customers. Let's be clear, who believes that it all starts with the customer? Come on, Socrata people. It's all customer people. It all starts with the customer, right? So it's all about the customer. And then there's growth opportunities with our partners. And so we're providing a platform, a capability that could excel and propel our partners' businesses. We want you to be successful. That's really important. That's what a symbiotic partnership is about. You're successful, we're successful, we are successful, our customers are successful. So yes, that means additional sales, and it also means that we have a megaphone. We scale. If we work together, we scale. We scale through mutual marketing and services, capability and capacity. If we team up and we carry this message of data-driven government together, wow, I think we can reach many more people. That's businesses, it's governments, it's customers, it's consumers, it's citizens alike. Make sense? Does this work for everyone? Am I missing something? You have an opportunity to change the mission of this team right now. Am I missing anything? No? Okay. All right. Eva, we're keeping the mission. Okay. Okay, so, our secret sauce, I think we talked a little bit about this. Really, we are a technology company, and we rely upon our partners for their expertise, their subject matter expertise, whether it be specifically in a market, you're experts in education, public safety, healthcare, performance management, budget, financial. You are the experts. We're a technology company. We're based in Seattle. We have offices in DC and London, but we're a technology company. So we really want to team up with you. Your relationship with the customer to guide them, consult them, help them is really critical, because technology at the end of the day is an enabler, right? It has to start with the solution, speaking about it in the customer's terms and having them verbalize what is their biggest challenge. Safe neighborhoods, economic development, jobs, right? Better schools, higher graduation rates, increased access to services. These are our government's goals. They should be our goals as a community. And technology is an enabler of those. So we look to you to really be able to understand that and come up with the solutions and the advocacy and the advisement so government is successful, right? Make sense? Okay. So with that, I'm going to stop with the slides, and I want to open it up for questions. Any questions, or I want to hear from you. Does anybody want to stand up and just talk a little bit about something that they're putting into place with a customer, or some big challenges that they're seeing? Come on, let's break the ice. Don't make me call on somebody. Okay, Brian, I'm calling on you.
So Brian Buck with SunGuard Public Sector. We started a partnership with Socrata back in September of last year. We're really still, while we've had sales, we're going through the launch phase to a large degree. We're pulling together all the resources that need to be pulled together to be able to create a successful partnership with Socrata and be able to take it out to the customer base. What we've done with Socrata is we actually provide software that goes into the financial departments of cities and counties, that goes into the community development departments. And what we've done is pull together interfaces, which is where we spend a lot of time amongst many product lines that we have, to drive excuse me, innovation that we couldn't do as quickly and, quite frankly, as cool as what it is that Socrata does. So we're excited about the partnership. We think that there is tremendous growth in future in ways that we can't even imagine at this point. And so today, great opportunity for us, for me, to be able to just sit back and learn. And I'm excited also to hear about what Tom has to talk about. So.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Brian. Okay, who else? I want to hear from somebody else, just a little bit about your business. Somebody? Okay, please, thank you.
Sure. I'm Doug Young from Goose Island. And,
welcome.
We're in the civil health sector and take care of most of the HHS optics. Some of the things we're most interested in is the value purchasing, and we get involved in a lot of development in the Innovation Center and with the Center of Quality Standards. and Medicare. Some of the interesting things you're talking about on open data, I'd be interested in learning more about. You have access to this data where you don't have to expose privacy information, and you combine patient information with administrative data and help folks get the meaning you're talking about. So that's some of where we're trying to solve those problems.
Fantastic. Well, welcome. It's really interesting because bringing up the privacy issues, one of the things that's important to note is that, customers can have internal solutions with perhaps that data and information that is not data that can be exposed more publicly, and Patrick, who will be talking next, perhaps can address that. I think that would be a good one, Patrick, to discuss about the importance of PII information. What's really important to note too is data, open data is part of it, and that's certainly something that Socrata fuels and helps with, is that public facing, and that's super important. And we opened with Noel talking about that and the opportunity for great applications, but it's also about data as a utility and internally sharing data and information. So there's the security pieces in place so that we can facilitate that type of use case scenario too. Okay, who else? Another partner, just, even if you stand up and you just say where you're from and what area you're focused on.
Yeah, so picking up on your thing, what I'm interested in is we work with a lot of public sector organizations, and one of their biggest problems is actually just curating the data in some way that they can collaborate more effectively internally first. We work a lot with State Department, for example, and they're definitely not going to start with an externally facing solution. So one of the things that I'm interested in is, could a use case be retooling the way that they're collaborating internally on data, and then interested in learning, well, how could that fit into some existing performance management type of technologies? Since they've invested in those heavily, could they, for example, use Tableau, the visualization technologies that they've already invested in heavily to drive that use case?
Yeah, so that's a quick question. I'm sorry, and your name?
I'm sorry, Matt Finkelstein from Green Diamond.
Matt from Green Diamond. Yes, thank you, Matt. So the question is being able to utilize some of their tooling that they put into place, for example, like a Tableau or perhaps another analytics tool. And from our perspective, we view these types of organizations as part of the broader ecosystem. So in fact, and Charlotte has had a number of conversations with data analytics partners, and we absolutely want to fuel that. Our goal, our mission is to unleash the power of data to improve the world around us. And that means, when I said syndication before, a data analytics tool set would fit into that. So our expertise is not deep data analytics and processing, and that's not our expertise. We want to provide out the data and information, or connect, if you will, into those tools so that government customers and agencies, organizations who have invested in that, and they are very powerful and very, very useful and important to their mission, that they can use that. So if we can go back to that friction-free flow of data, and I think, Matt, that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, that's probably the longest pole in the tent.
It is.
These types of solutions moving quickly and being resilient.
Right. And I think one of the things that we'll talk about, and Chris will talk about, is how we're trying to facilitate that flow of data and get that data into the tools and capabilities through, for example, our API capability and the APIs that we provide, and that's really important. And so that's a big piece of it. How are we doing on time, Eva? Can I call upon a couple more people? Okay, cool. Yes, please, and if you can introduce yourself and say what company you're from.
Absolutely. My name is Carrie Ann Nadeau. I'm an entrepreneur here in the District of Columbia. I started a company called Open Data Nation, and we're a partner with Socrata because Socrata does a great job at leveraging information to increase transparency in cities. But a lot of cities also have complementary goals of engaging residents with that information, empowering them to find efficiencies and improve the way that their government works for them, create really cool web apps that Noel was introducing us to some in New York, but that perhaps they need some hand-holding to get them down that road. So our consulting company is brand new, and we're looking forward to working with Socrata as a way to support kind of local, very small grassroots organizations like ours that are just starting out.
Fantastic. I think that's great. And that also speaks to that connection all the way up and down the flagpole, meaning everything from federal to state to county, municipality, local. And then we all know that hyperlocal is really big right now in terms of data and information. Hyperlocal, who's familiar with Nextdoor, for example? They're a great application, and right. Who here is, as a citizen, a subscriber to Nextdoor? Yeah, right. So really, and that's important because that is a combination of data and information, getting it out to citizens, but that data and information comes from many, many different sources. And so a big part of it, and from a user perspective, while police and fire are really looking at, in Seattle there was just a story done because they want to work with Nextdoor to be able to bring the information and communicate to the citizens. What's really important, and I think you're alluding to this, is that it becomes a two-way conversation. It's not about broadcasting out anymore. It's about getting information back into government as well. And so that's really important from the insights perspective, and whether it be crowdsourced or otherwise, getting that data back so governments can understand, listen to, and respond to the communities in a more effective way, and also in a faster way, right? Okay, I think we have time, please.
Yeah, we are from Deloitte. My name is Sid Iyer.
Welcome.
Thank you. So the thing is that one of the things we're interested, I think, like anyone else, is when you have this massive amount of data in a, say, healthcare sector, how do you translate that into knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
So, condensing, extracting the knowledge out of data is one of the, I think, it's one of the important things we are looking at. So,
right.
I think the information you presented seems to be trending in that direction. So we would be interested in, those kind of areas. That is, knowledge extraction from a vast amount of heterogeneous data.
Right, right. So that's fantastic, because I think that right now governments, well, and businesses for that matter, are overwhelmed by the amount of data and information. I think that's a great opportunity for partners and many of you in this room, because at the end of the day, it starts with what's the question they're trying to answer. What's the solution they're looking for? So the data aside, it's in there somewhere, but if you and the partners can help get out of the government customer, what are they trying to do? What's their program? What's their initiative? What are they trying to solve for? Then we as a community can help enable that by finding that in the data, or create, or great tools to then communicate that knowledge and insight. And then, mentioned before, Tableau and others provide the analytics perhaps to find the answers or to be able to address the questions. So we have to connect the dots for them, though, and the skill sets are in this room to do that. Okay, who else? One more? Please.
I had a question for you, actually.
Sure.
I'm Tristan, I'm with Frankfurt. I was wondering if you'd talk about the Data Act a little bit and how you guys are changing to deal with that.
So with the Data Act, or just just at a high level, from an overall transparency perspective, we help governments be more transparent and open up their data and information and provide the tools, the platform, the solution, the applications that they can do that. We did launch this year our Financial Transparency Suite, which is a set of applications very much focused on financial budget, revenue, payroll, procurement, the different facets of financial data and information. And with our new budget app, we have a connection between budget and actuals, and we also launched our payroll app, and we're also working with partners like SunGuard to drive more transparency around financial data and information. So there's a number of ways to do that. I think there's some challenges around that act, as we all know, because where's, in essence, the support, if you will, to actually make that true. So, but we want to work with partners like you to really help make that a reality and help in terms of, so governments don't just see it as a compliance issue, but they actually see it as a benefit to them. And so that's really key too. I think it's really important that the success for all of us is not so much with the hammer, but rather or with the stick, it's more with the carrot, meaning that if they see that, wow, if I take hold of the data and the information, it's not a compliance issue. It actually makes me connect better to my citizens. It allows me to make better data-driven decisions. And by the way, it's not emotional debates, it's fact-based debates. Operational efficiency, I could save money. And perhaps it's economic development, helping creating jobs. That's part of the thought leadership piece that we want to drive. And so our approach is, okay, policy is super important. I don't want to say that it's not, but from Socrata's point of view, we actually want to enforce the opportunity and the benefits to government as opposed to policy and you have to comply. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. Well, I appreciate you all participating and not just having me talk. I know that that's not necessarily comfortable for folks, but I want you to know who each other are in the room so you can have those thoughtful conversations throughout the day. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Eva, and she could take us to our next speaker. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.